Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on QNT. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about QNT. I'm going to start with this. Quant Network released their Overledger technology to the public this week. This will bring huge buy pressure as the subscriptions and credits are purchased using QNT token, or if purchased in fiat. Those funds are used to purchase QNT. You know what's great about QNT? They have to utilize the token. And that's how me and you get rich in the end. That's where our money is invested, in the token. The subscription can be purchased monthly or annually with a discount of about 9.4% off. Additionally, credit bundles can then be purchased again for QNT or fiat, and these will get used up for building things such as tokens, NFTs, smart contracts, and reward distributions. This is just one of the many projects that will require QNT token to be used. It's live and functioning, which is more than most crypto projects can say. The utility is proven and consistently growing. QNT is very well positioned for the bull run. And that's what else is nice. It's actually functioning. Other companies, like other projects, cryptocurrency networks, they talk about this project and that project, and it's still so early. It hasn't even been built out yet, and it's not functioning yet. With QNT, it's a lot different. Quant enables Project Rosalind to explore more CBDC use cases. Now, one thing I want to point out around CBDCs, Gilbert Verdian, I played a video in a previous video on QNT where he says the central bank does not care what you're spending your money on. And a lot of people don't like the idea of a CBDC at all. And I'm one of those people because I see how the World Economic Forum talks about it. But they're going to become our future one way or another. Every single country's building one right now. You want to invest in that. That's how you will get rich in the future. That's how you could possibly avoid using a CBDC in the future. Who knows? Because we're not there yet. Everybody's still speculating. So it was really positive project, and the collaboration between the various participants worked well. We now created real-world examples of how CBDCs could be integrated into our day-to-day lives. Each participating company suggested a few different use cases to test. We worked and added innovations to the core of each suggestion. So they're already building out on the technology around CBDCs as well. So, for example, one firm demonstrated a checkout experience where the customer could select and use a CBDC to pay for an item, similar to selecting and using a debit card or Apple Pay. A major bank completed an example transaction between a parent and their child's account. The child was paid an amount from their parent's account once certain chores had been completed. The project has shown a wealth of examples where CBDCs can be used in and add value to our lives. I never said CBDCs were not bad. I think the technology is great in the right hands, though. It doesn't matter how much you hold. All you have to do is hodl long enough. And I always tell people when they ask me, how much QNT should I hold? I say it's not about how much. It's about how long you can continue holding after it hits certain price points. So how much QNT do you own? Is it enough? Are you stacking more? I'm going to tell you like I tell everyone. I'm going to give you an actual number. I think 100 QNT is a great investment. It would be a great bag to have. Because in the future, the prices are going to be high prices. But you never want to overinvest. You don't want to be tapping into your QNT to buy gas and groceries this week. You invest whatever you could afford to lose. Quant price predictions. When will QNT hit the $1,000 mark? So let's take a look at this. So they're saying 2023 max price $213.91. 2024 $333. 2025 $459. 2026 $578, and then they're saying all the way up until 2030 is when it will hit $1,000. I think that prediction's off. I think QNT is going to hit $1,000 much quicker because everything is moving so fast right now. And this is one of the reasons I hold QNT right here. Oracle is all in on Quant for all their blockchain activities involving interoperability. 430,000 Oracle clients will get a push to Overledger, build across multiple blockchains without coding. Just absurd. I got no words. When those 430 Oracle clients have to utilize the QNT token, that's where I think a shortage will happen. And at that point, QNT is going to absolutely skyrocket. What makes QNT ahead of the game? Fixed supply of only 14.6 million tokens. FINMA regulated, enterprise ready with partners like Oracle, interoperability with other blockchains. Don't miss the boat. And I'm telling you right now, QNT looks expensive, but it's not. It's undervalued right now. And a lot of people say, well, I could go off and I could buy a lot more XRP for the same price of one QNT. And that's true. But you got to understand what you're buying when you buy QNT. There's not a whole lot of it, and I think it's going to run dry at some point. You're going to have to wait for people to sell their QNT so you can buy one. People are going to be buying pieces of a QNT in the future, the same way they do with Bitcoin right now. But QNT has a ton of utility as well, and I think it's going to surpass Bitcoin's all-time high at some point. Gilbert Verdian confirms CBDC and states the libertarian movement is naive by thinking CBDCs can be switched on and off. And I want you to hear what he has to say about taxes as well.
CBDCs. So we've been working with central banks to really innovate and bring together technology as the CBDC and what it means for a payment system or a financial system across the world.
And how does Quant relate to central bank digital currencies exactly?
We're the platform and the infrastructure that central banks and commercial banks can use to implement, pilot and test CBDCs and tokenized assets in an interoperable way.
And so if we think of me or just any ordinary end user, why would I be interested in the central bank digital currency instead of just sending pounds, euros, whatever electronically?
I think as end users and consumers of money, we're using a system that's quite antiquated and it's built on legacy technology and legacy infrastructure. So what central bank digital currencies mean for us is a new form of money that's very digital and it can actually do things that our previous type of money can't do.
So, I mean, what kinds of things, for example?
Money of tomorrow, which is where we're heading, is able to create new products and new payment flows that enables us to create logic around it. So what that really means is if you want to send something to another party, you can remove all the risk, create conditions like if this happens, then release the money, or take the tax out as I'm paying the money. So really automates a lot of business workflows and consumer needs.
So if I was standing here from a traditional big bank, do you think I should be a little bit worried?
No, they're the innovators. So the big banks in the UK, Europe and the US, they're the ones leading the drive towards CBDCs because they're actually starting to implement what that means to their payment systems and to their infrastructure.
And I think some people on the libertarian right are slightly concerned that, you know, a digital currency could somehow be switched on or off at will, depending on the central bank or the government. Do you think that's a realistic fear, or is that not?
No, I think that's quite a naive view of what a central bank currency can do. From a regulation perspective, it's going to be the same as cash. So it will be treated as a digital form of cash. It can be used the same way as cash can be used in any transaction across the country.
So he's saying it's going to be treated the same as cash now, but there's a big difference. Think about it. When you go to a restaurant, right, you order your food, the waitress brings the food, or the waiter, and when it's all said and done, you got to leave a tip. Well, when you leave that tip, right away, the government's going to get their tax money directly before it even gets to their wallet. And there's a lot of downfalls to CBDCs that I see in a cashless society. Think about the homeless people out on the street. You know, they're trying to get money to eat today. Well, now you just hand them your loose change or you hand them a couple bucks and they go about their day. In the future, you would not be able to do that. It would be set up totally different. And I think a lot of people are going to be left behind by a CBDC as well. But taking the taxes out, it's going to keep everyone honest. And that's why these governments are all in favor of a CBDC. Right now, they think we're all money launderers inside of crypto. Look what's going on with the SEC. In the future, there is no money laundering because every dollar would be accounted for. Even when a guy comes and works on your house, sure, most of the time he says, well, if you pay cash, I could do the job cheaper, because he doesn't want to pay the taxes on that money, whatever the case is. In the future, that won't happen. You would have a digital wallet, he would have a digital wallet. When the job is done, you would send him the money. In the meantime, the IRS would come in and take their tax money. So that's what I see happening in the future around this. But I don't know if we're 100% right on around them shutting off your money in the future either. But I do a lot of videos on the Great Reset, and that looks like that could be their plan. So then there's this. Bitcoin maxis last week. BlackRock is evil and is the financial arm of the World Economic Forum. Bitcoin maxis this week. BlackRock is such a game changer and will trigger the next wave of adoption for Bitcoin. But these are the same people that were telling me and you that we should not be buying QNT. We should sell our QNT. It's evil. It's tied to CBDCs in the future. But you know, these are the same people now hailing BlackRock. And honestly, I see BlackRock as like some sort of Trojan horse all of a sudden coming into crypto. And I think, again, it ties back to the World Economic Forum. But I always told you when people were saying this, you need to keep holding on to these investments. Invest where the elites are investing. You know, you see a cryptocurrency tied to CBDCs, put money in it. This way you can enrich yourself. Now all the talk is tokenization. And again, you want to be invested in that as well, so you can enrich yourself. But the Bitcoin maxis all of a sudden think BlackRock is the savior of Bitcoin, and I'm not seeing it. I'd much rather invest in QNT. For the next 5 years, every 2 weeks, would you put 4% of your paycheck into a 401k? Or put 4% of your paycheck into QNT? One will help you retire after 65. Only will help you retire in 5 years. And that's the thing, you know, if you invest in crypto like QNT, you could definitely get to retirement within the next 5 years. It's definitely achievable depending on how much you invest. But who wants to stay in that cycle of investing at 65 years old? And here in the US, they change that every single year. They up the retirement age. Eventually, people are just going to work until they're dead. And that needs to change. And how do you change it? Invest in crypto. But again, I tell you how to invest. I show you all the growth around these cryptocurrencies because it's so much easier today. You know, when I got into crypto, it was rough. People had me chasing memes early on. And that's part of the reason I started this channel, to get people away from that cycle. Sure, people get rich and they go all over crypto Twitter. I just made $1 million off investing in this meme coin. And that's great. But that's not everybody's situation. A lot of people end up losing it all. Or they get trapped because they think that meme coin's going to continue going higher, higher, higher. And before you know it, it plummets down and their money's trapped in there. And most of the time, they're sitting at a loss at the same time. I would much rather invest in utility and use case. This is the future. And anybody that doesn't see it will just get left behind. Because everything is there. All the writing is on the wall. And it's so simple. But again, most people will be left behind. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.